Rescue on Ryloth is the title of today's 12th episode of Star Wars The Bad Batch, airing on Disney+. Look, normally, I gotta ask you guys, hey, what did you think of the episode? What is your general ideas? What is your general feeling towards the episode after just watching it? You know what, today, I don't want to hear it from you. I don't want to hear a single thing from you because me personally, hey, I had my complaints the last 2 weeks. You guys saw it. I was kind of worried. I didn't know what direction the show was taking. I had no sense of what the overall arc was going to be because, like I said, initially, the show presented itself in more of the realm of storytelling that we got from Star Wars Rebels, as opposed to the arc-based formula that we grew to know and love from Clone Wars. And it wasn't necessarily wrong of the Bad Batch to want to do a sort of arc approach, kind of like Clone Wars. The only reason that it threw me off is because the first episode kind of presented itself as if it was going to have one straight path, one straight narrative. Then all of a sudden in the middle of the season, they're doing arc things, and it seems like now we're going back to the straight line. So I guess I'm still not sure the formula of the overall series, but basing everything from last week's episode to this week's episode, which I do prefer, I do feel like I'm getting a sense of where the show will be going for the final few episodes. And man, hey, I don't care what you have to say. Okay, that's a lie. I do want to hear what you have to say, but for me, dude, this was a good episode. I really enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed the Bad Batch this week, so much so that it's going up there with the Cad Bane episodes and the first few episodes of the series, which you guys know I'm very partial to, and saying that they're some of my favorite Star Wars media to be presented from this series in particular. But yeah, this episode, man, it was good. It was a, basic rescue type of mission, but everything worked here for me. This is kind of like what I wanted last week's episode to be. Yes, we kind of randomly branched off into this quote-unquote Star Wars Rebels prequel type of thing, which is all fine and dandy. I love me some fan service, but I didn't want the core story of the Bad Batch in particular to be sacrificed in order to bring up the level of fan service just for the sake of fan service, where this episode, I think, really balances the amount of fan service as well as benefiting the Bad Batch on its own merit and its own right as a Star Wars property. It doesn't shoot down anything original or new or any added flavors to the Star Wars universe originally from the Bad Batch to bring in Star Wars Rebels elements. They're both standing there and serving their purpose, whether it's in a big impactful way or just a small little accent. So this episode, I think, really firms and cements the ground that the Bad Batch stands on in its own right, while also benefiting from, wow, look, the freaking Star Wars Rebels stuff is here too. So you have new stuff to really dive into, swim around in there, and get really excited about new things that are added to the Star Wars universe, while also getting a blast from the past that we get to relive these Star Wars Rebels characters in a new way, in a fresh light with these new characters, while timeline wise, yes, it's set before Star Wars Rebels, but in context of you consuming the media. That's more of the angle that I'm trying to, speak on that part of things, more along those lines. Crosshair was here, okay? In a more substantial role, I should say. It's not like he hasn't been there, but we're finally getting back to Crosshair being reeled back into the plot in a substantial way that really adds weight to the show. It wasn't anything too crazy, but definitely something more substantial than the past few times that we've seen him since the beginning of the series. I feel like we're really coming to a head with the Crosshair plot. We only have a few more episodes to go. I said a couple weeks ago they really need to steer clear of any plots that deviate from the whole Crosshair feud, as I feel that's the backbone of the series. And while they did deviate for a little bit, it does seem like we're steering back into the direction of, okay, we only have a few more episodes left with these characters. Let's really hone in on what we are really hoping to keep as the glue of the series, what's really going to keep people invested and coming back and seeing the progression of this certain storyline. It's the Crosshair one. So they're really going to lean into that. I really feel this is the first time that we've had a true episode end with setup that has every intention of paying off what we wish to see. So far, it's been, oh yeah, we get this episode that we evaluate everything that happened in it to kind of assume or guess or hope what will come in the episodes to follow that. But this is the first time where the show itself is opening up its hand and ending on a note, instead of just, oh, a pretty bow tying this entire episode's plot up, you know, and not really bridging you into next week. This is one of the first times, or one of the only times that I can recall, that the episode ends with an open door to very bluntly say to you, hey, this episode is ending at this point because we are about to dive into the next string of episodes following this storyline in particular. So we saw Crosshair has every intention of hunting down the Bad Batch now, and I think that's the plot. You know, that's good enough for the next final episodes. I think that's it. That's all we need. Stick true to that, stay true to that, follow it through, and make sure you make these episodes count. Every last one of them has to hit, has to count in some way. I mean, at least for me. You know, maybe I'm not speaking for everyone. Maybe there's someone out there that likes these arcs broken up. They don't necessarily want one big overarching plot because, hey, I mean, some people don't have the time to be watching this show all the way to the end. Sometimes they just want to take, you know, certain complete stories, 2-3 episode arcs into bite-sized pieces. And you know what? I enjoy content like that too. I think the thing for me is if a show establishes itself as one thing to begin with and then goes around and does another thing, it's just confusing at times. You know, sometimes it can work. Here, maybe it works for some people. It doesn't necessarily not work for me. It's just, I think I prefer the Bad Batch at its best when it's focusing on the core plot of Crosshair and everything, because that's what sold me on the show to begin with. Also, you know, it wouldn't be me if I didn't highlight the character moments. I think this episode has some of the best character moments that we've seen in the series thus far. Nice little conversation between Hera and Omega. You know, we get to hear Omega refer to the Bad Batch as her brothers. Straight up tells Hunter, I would do the same for you, when talking about how Hera wants to go through these extreme lengths to rescue her family, her people. It's so nice, you know, getting that reflection, even just in a few pieces of dialogue, to know that Omega would go the same extreme lengths that Hera went within this episode to rescue her family. Doing the same for the Bad Batch, Omega feels that way about them. It really deepens the connection between them and that family bonding between each character that we've clearly seen grow across these now 12 episodes. But it's nice to have reassurance, even within the universe of the show. Instead of just us watching and feeling that, they're aware of it too, and they state that. So I thought that that was really nice. I wanted to highlight that. Nice character moments between just Hera and Omega alone. As I said before, you know, just the way that they bounce off of each other again. They're around the same age, they have some of the same ambition and drive, and putting those two characters together, that pairing was really awesome. I don't know if we'll ever get anything in the future that'll reunite these characters, taking place after the events of both the Bad Batch and Star Wars Rebels as well, where they're older, you know, get to reflect on all the missions that they've been on. You know, of course, Omega, we'd be getting a lot more insight into that character because it's her first time. She doesn't really have much of a history. We're seeing it unfold as the Bad Batch carries on with more episodes. But Hera, we have a connection to because we have the entire series of Rebels and that entire period of her life. Plus, now we're getting backstory to her, and then we'll probably see her return in the future. So pairing her up with Omega in a future Star Wars project would be super awesome. And just seeing them, you know, reminisce on their times that they had together during the era of the Bad Batch taking place. Also, dude, Hauser. I have not talked about Hauser at all. What a great character. Like, awesome stuff. Nothing too deep or anything like that, but just for the role that he played, my goodness. Yeah, Hauser's dope. I liked Hauser. That's my comment. I liked Hauser. That's all I have to say, but it's not, you know, out of disappointment. It's like, no, legitimately, I like Hauser. I'm not being sarcastic. Okay, you guys get the point. Yeah, I was completely lying at the beginning of this review when I said that I didn't care about your thoughts on this episode. I totally do. So down in the comments below, let me know what you thought of today's episode of The Bad Batch. Share this video around with your friends so we can get that discussion moving and talking about The Bad Batch. Episode 12, man. Great episode in my opinion. Round of applause to everyone who worked on it, the entire team, the cast, everyone who poured their heart and soul into this episode. And you guys know the drill. Leave that like if you like the video and all that good stuff. That's pretty much it. Let's have a discussion down in the comments below. I've been Geekly, you've been awesome, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. May the Force be with you.